It is now 8 o'clock in Athens. That would be 8 o'clock in Kiev and 9 o'clock in Moscow. Early morning on this Monday. And I'm going to give an update on what's going on from Ukraine and just the situation in general, of course, in this video. By the time I get it up and by the time everyone wakes up, wherever you are in the world or watches this video, a lot of things might change. We have the meetings taking place in the morning on the border of on Belarus between delegations, Russian and Ukrainian, and unconditional meetings. Anything can happen, who knows? But my hunch there is that Putin didn't make this decision and come this far to not get everything that he wants. And he wants a government that he controls in Ukraine, period. Yes, no NATO. Yes, the denazification, security guarantees, all those things. Recognition of Donetsk and Lugansk, all those things. But, I think all those things can only happen if he controls the government. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be the Russian line, which will be, we want a friendly government in Kiev, period. And, I can't see the Ukraine delegation going for that. I also wonder if Russia would allow Zelensky to leave intact, to live in exile. That I don't know, because obviously Zelensky in exile would allow the U.S. to create this Juan Guaido kind of, the government in exile, which could continue to cause problems for Russia. So who knows what's going to happen with these negotiations? We'll see. I don't think it'll either end quickly or it'll go on all day. So we'll just wait and see what happens there. So we have that. That's the big news, those meetings, and we're just going to wait it out. And we have the markets, which are going to be opening today, and it's going to be just a freaking bloodbath all over the world. In Russia, it's just going to be brutal. The ruble on Friday, it was at 83 rubles to the dollar. Over the weekend, banks were willing to trade at 171, some banks, rubles to the dollar. Who knows what it opens at today? The Russian central bank is already taking measures. So they are taking measures to combat this, to prevent bank runs and all the chaos that's going to happen from this. And there's going to be a lot of chaos. I mean, the ruble's going to take an absolute beating. But, as we explained in a live that we did the other day, and we'll be doing more programs on this, the Russians, number one, they should be able to withstand this. And inside of Russia, in the market in Russia, if you're just living day to day in Russia and you're not looking to transact in dollars or foreign currency, and you're not you can't travel now either. That's another thing I'll get to. But if you're not dealing with the outside world and you're just looking to buy Russian goods and Russian products and live day to day in Russia, this shouldn't have that much of an effect. But we'll wait and see. People are going to panic and people are going to get nervous and they're going to start pulling out money from the ATMs and all of these things. Of course, the overarching goal, I think now for the EU and for the neocons and for the US is they're kind of saying, maybe we can get a regime change going. Maybe this is our chance to finally overthrow Putin. Get a color revolution, another revolution in Russia. Not an October revolution, but a March revolution. Maybe they're thinking that, and they smell blood in the water. It's a possibility. It's a possibility that may be the strategy. Actually, I think it's a very high probability that they're now saying, who cares about Ukraine? Let's go for the big prize, or Nord Stream 2, or any of that. They're probably saying, let's go for the big prize and try to overthrow Putin. So that may be their thinking. We'll wait and see what happens in the next week and how the Russian bank fights off the attack on the ruble. We knew it was coming. The U.S. ambassador in the UN said that they're going to start attacking the ruble pretty much. She said that we have more things that we're going to start to do this week. And she was hinting at attacking the ruble and trying to crush the Russian economy and get some sort of regime change in Russia, right? So that's going to be what's going to play out this week. The Russian central bank they're going to start retaliating. They've already said that they're going to start looking at foreign assets in Russia. They said they're going to look at foreign securities operating in Russia, and they're going to start inflicting their own pain. You know, the Russian central bank and the Russian state can also, you know, pull out the nuclear option, or various nuclear options, which would be, of course, cutting off gas or dealing with the energy and the gas. The pipelines are still flowing, but, you know, with the flip of a switch, that could change. You have all the food, all the commodities in general that Russia controls: oil, gas, food, minerals, all these things that they could start, you know, messing around with. They could say that the ruble is going to be backed by gold. Russia has 650 billion in reserves. I think something like 500 billion in gold or something. Just an outrageous number. You know, if they do that, who knows, man? We're looking at systems collapse, and I think the EU is going to be the first victim. The EU is going to just crumble. All these little states in the European Union are just going to stop dropping like flies. Let me give you an example. Cyprus has had to close its airspace now to Russian planes. Greece has to do it. They haven't made. I don't think they've made an announcement yet, an official announcement, but they're going to announce it as well. But take Cyprus. 45% of Cypriot tourism is from Russia. You know, the tourism sector makes up a massive proportion of the Cypriot economy. If this ban on airlines holds for the whole summer, you know, Cyprus is sunk. You know, 2 years of the coup, and now this, you know, Cyprus is sunk. No chance that, I mean, we're going to need bailouts in a big way. So, you know, I guess the Cypriot government, I'm sure they didn't want to do this, but they were forced by the European Union to do this. But I'm sure the Cypriot government is probably saying to themselves, God, let this end quickly, and please let's remove these travel restrictions ASAP before April, May, before the tourism season starts to get underway. So anyway, that's one small example. I mean, we talked energy, commodities, resources, minerals. I mean, you know, we're looking at an entire systems collapse. So, you know, Medvedev said that they've hit Russia with everything. And he made a post on VKontakte, and he says, okay, now we've seen all their firepower, and we know they're going to attack the ruble. And Medvedev said, now we're going to start picking apart everything they've done and start retaliating. And Medvedev, for those who don't know, was the prime minister, the president, the prime minister, and now he's heading up the Security Council, which is a job of immense importance. He's a smart guy. And he says we're just going to now sit back and we're going to start to pick apart everything they've thrown at us. That was his statement, pretty much paraphrasing what he said on VKontakte. Interesting that he's using VKontakte. All of the Russian officials used to use Facebook, and now they've gone to the Russian social media. RT and Sputnik have been banned throughout the EU. You know, there you can see the hysteria from Ursula von der Leyen and Borrell. They said they're going to send more money and weapons to Ukraine. You know, the weapons, I still don't know what the hell that's going to do, sending all the weapons to Ukraine, because if those weapons start to move from Poland, I imagine they're going to go through Poland, because Poland's pretty much the staging area for the Ukraine military. So all those weapons, they're going to move from west to east. They're going to try to move them west to east, but how? How are they going to do that? You know, Russia has total control of the skies. All the roads are controlled by the Russian forces now. So, you know, realistically, those weapons can either try to move west to east and get destroyed, or get captured by the Russian military, or they're just going to sit in like the west of Ukraine, in you know, the Lviv area, which is where the headquarters, the de facto headquarters of the Azov, and you know, all of these, you know, far right NSEI groups. That's pretty much their area. These really radical people. They're all in the west. So maybe they're just going to throw all those weapons in the west and just arm them to the teeth. But we still don't know Russia's strategy in the West. That's the thing. Russia hasn't really said much about how they're going to handle Lviv and the west of Ukraine. We're just going to have to wait and see there. I'm starting to think that Russia isn't that interested in Lviv in the West. I mean, maybe they're just not interested in that area, and what they're going to do is they're just going to say, let's grab all of Ukraine that's important, you know, all of Ukraine that's on the sea, you know, the east of Ukraine where it's mainly Russian speaking and ethnicity Russian, and let's just leave this small little sliver in the west of Ukraine. Let's just leave it to its own devices. Let Europe, you know, throw all their weapons in there, and then all these guys, all these radical neo-NAZI forces that are there, where are they going to go? You know, they're not going to be able to attack the Ukraine that's controlled by Russia. They're not going to have any access to any of the sea. They're not going to have any access to any ports or anything. They're going to be landlocked, and the only ways out are going to be via Poland or Hungary, Romania. I mean, that's going to be it. And the difficult part is that while Poland would like nothing better than to say, let's bring Lviv back to our, let me sit down here in the park and finish off this video. Let's bring Lviv back to, you know, Poland proper. They'd like nothing better than to do that. They don't want the NAZI forces. That's the problem. How do you bring Lviv into your country without having all of these radical forces there as well? And so, because no one wants these guys, rightly so. No one wants these guys. They're, you know, far right, and no one wants them. And they're going to be armed to the teeth as well. So I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen there. And so I'm just throwing some stuff out there. Finally, the thing that we should talk about is just a quick update what's going on the ground. There's really not much to report. Russia is from what I gather, outside of all the misinformation and everything and all the BS that's going around, it seems that Russia's in full control. This is the readout that I'm getting. If things were going well for Ukraine, number one, they wouldn't be finally going to a negotiation, because they've been kind of flip-flopping on the negotiations, but now they finally said, okay, we'll sit down. That's number one. So that shows that things are going poorly. They wouldn't be recruiting 18 to 60-year-old men to join the military. So if things were going well, you wouldn't have conscription. So that's another sign that things are going really, really bad. And they wouldn't be handing out rifles and guns to people if things were going well, to just average civilians. So, you know, I think those are three indicators that show things are going really, really poorly. And I think it's safe to say that Russia's in full control of the situation. There are reports that there's street battles in some cities, but I'm also hearing reports that those street battles are actually gang turf wars, because of the bonehead decision, the terrible, cynical, dangerous decision of the Ukraine government to give weapons to people. All those weapons ended up in the hands of mafia guys and crime organizations, and now they're kind of duking it out on the streets to see who's going to get control of the streets. So I don't know if those street battles are Russian military with Ukraine military, or if it's gang wars. I've heard both, so take it at that. The situation is with the Azov battalion in the east, and those guys, I've heard 60,000 troops to 100,000 troops are completely surrounded. They're in the cauldron. There may be around 50 kilometers distance from the Russian forces from north to south to fully close off that cauldron, but by the time this video goes up, that cauldron, if it's not already closed, it's going to be closed. They're going to be completely enveloped, encircled, and that's just going to be a massive hit to the Ukraine military. That's another reason why they're probably going to the negotiating table finally, is because they realize that half of our military is about to get wiped out, and the Russians are going to give those troops, the Azov guys and the Ukraine military that are trapped there, encircled. They're going to give them the option to either surrender or face annihilation. I'm sure the Azov battalion guys will be rounded up, and who knows what's going to happen to all of them. That's what's happening in the east. The Donetsk and Lugansk military is making significant gains. Last night, they moved west 56 kilometers, and they're pushing even further. Mariupol, they've got it surrounded, though the Azov battalion is pretty dug in there, but they've got that city surrounded. Kharkiv, which is the second largest city, and was once actually the capital of Ukraine at a time. Kharkiv is, from what I understand, the Russians are actually just mopping up whatever remnants of Ukraine military was there. So from what I gather, it's definitely surrounded. And there are reports that the military is in the Russians are in the city, and they're just kind of just cleaning things up, and they have full control of the city. Those are the reports that I'm getting there. So it's either completely surrounded or it's completely flipped to the Russians. And there are some people that are saying that, you know, the Russian military, the Russian government may actually set up a provisional government in Kharkiv. I don't know. That I don't know. Those are what some outlets are saying. Take that with a grain of salt. We don't know. But that's a major city that's now, for the most part, fully under control. The Russian forces are moving quickly towards Dnieper, which is more in the center of Ukraine, center-east of Ukraine, say. And that's also a big city. I think that's the third largest city, and they're going to surround that pretty soon as well. And Kiev is completely surrounded. How do we know that it's completely surrounded and cut off? Well, because Klitschko, the former heavyweight champion and now mayor of Kiev, you remember, the Klitschko from Victoria Nuland's recorded phone call where she said, you know, we can't put Klitschko into the government because he doesn't know anything, so Yats is our guy. Well, Klitschko was giving an interview, and they were asking him some questions about, can you get people out, or can you get supplies in, and, you know, can we help Kiev out? And Klitschko let it slip. He's like, well, we can't do anything because we're completely surrounded and we're cut off. He later retracted that in a statement on social media and said, no, this was taken out of context by, you know, Russian fake news. But he said it in an interview, and he pretty much admitted that Kiev is completely surrounded. Maybe there's one road that may be left where you can go out of the city, but I doubt it. You know, the internet is still intact, communication's intact, electricity is running, so the Russians have not taken any of that out. It's more big tech in the European Union that's, you know, disconnecting internet and news outlets and stuff like that from Ukraine. So that's everything there is upside down and backwards. You know, you can see that the desperation, the hysteria from Europe, that they're losing the plot as well. And you know, when all of this is done and over in a week or two, depending on how far Russia wants to go, because the west of Ukraine is a big question mark for everybody, I think. But and Odessa too. There's not much coming out of Odessa, though. I've heard something's going to happen there soon. We'll see. Either way, when all of this is over, and the Russians, what I believe, I think the Russians will be in control of most of Ukraine and the government. They'll have the government that they want in place. That's my opinion. Things could change, of course. The economic pain, the retaliation is going to start to begin, and we're just going to start seeing just, I don't know, systems collapse, definitely all over Europe. And you think Ursula von der Leyen looks stressed now? Just wait 1 month and see how she looks. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get really, really ugly. You have that. Oh, you also have that the Russian government put their nuclear capabilities on high alert, their deterrence on high alert. So that was another thing. That's a signal. I think that was done as a signal to NATO, who's, you know, NATO saying we're going to pour more weapons into Ukraine. I think that was just a signal saying you guys better just keep out of it. This is between us and Ukraine, and NATO, stay out. I think that was the signal they were sending. But, you know, nuclear war is a possibility. This thing could escalate. And I don't think it could go nuclear, but who knows? I mean, things can get out of control. Also, one more thing before I sign off. Keep an eye out on Kosovo. Kosovo has now made a petition to get into NATO. So if Kosovo starts to stir things up, we're going to have to see what Serbia does. And also the EU has said that they're going to let Ukraine into the EU, which is just a stupid move because Ukraine's going to be Russian soon. So I don't know what exactly they're going to let in into the EU. In other words, a government's going to be in place that's friendly to Moscow. So I don't know exactly what they're going to let into the EU. And is the requirement to get into the EU now that easy, that cheap? You know, it's just dumb statements coming out of the European Union, and it shows their desperation. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, guys. Check out Alexander's channel for updates. Check out the Duran. We're doing updates all the time. Take care. Look, the Duran.locals.com. Take care.